Hi everybody. Jason here just to talk about my fish tank. The main topic for today is actually talking about how it changed from freshwater to saltwater tanks. So what went on with me is I had the MTS, multiple tank syndrome, when I started the hobby. Started with aquascaping, and next thing I know, I wanted a better fish, so I got another tank for that. And then next thing I know, I got interested in African cichlids, so I got into that as well on the bigger tank. And then I liked the pond style, so I got like a small pond out there in my balcony. So after some time, all my tanks were too stable. I got bored. Basically, for my pond and my aquascape, all I ended up doing was topping up water for a whole year. Like literally, that's all I did. I just put one or two squirts of fertilizer in once a week and topped up water every 3-4 days. And for the whole year, that was what I was doing, and basically getting a bit boring. Um, so I decided to pull the trigger on a saltwater aquarium. So before we continue, so what I have here is the plans for this tank is to be have my rock here, have a lot of corals in there, have probably a five fishes or so. I've already got my two clowns in there, probably a goby with a shrimp, and one or two more fishes in there, and that's about it. And the rest of it will be just corals. You see, probably just going for soft corals. I don't think so. The size, or I don't have the time to do LPS or SPS corals right now. So yeah, that's the setup I have. So talking about setting up this aquarium, I thought, I already have a freshwater system. I got my canister filter, I got my lights, everything was working fine. So just a couple of things you want to consider before you move from freshwater to saltwater. Um, you see, freshwater, you got to think about the nitrate levels. Okay, so in freshwater, of course, we always talk about you want to keep the nitrate level as low as possible. But for planted tanks, we don't want a very, very low nitrate levels because the plants need the nitrates. That's why we dose fertilizer and all that, which, you know. So part of the nitrogen cycle will be ammonia, nitrite, and then the nitrate. So the first two will be zero, and then your nitrate probably can go up to about 30 or 40, and you don't see any big problems for the tank, you see, for algae wise, I mean. So for saltwater, or rather when you want to do corals, you can't have that high nitrates. You need it to be lower than probably 5, if I'm not mistaken. So when you need the nitrate levels to be below 5, that's why they talk about having protein skimmers. So protein skimmers, how it works is it removes the organic waste or the excess food before it could become ammonia. So before it becomes ammonia, before it becomes nitrite, and then to nitrate. But I'm also running a canister filter. So that's why people don't really use canister filters for saltwater aquariums, because all these dirt and detritus will get stuck in the canister filter, and you got to change it very, very often. You see, my canister filter probably in my freshwater tank at the time, I probably cleaned it once in 6 months, once in 7 months. Don't really need to do anything with it. So now, thinking about saltwater, you need to do it probably every week, and I'm not really interested in doing that. So that's why I got myself a skimmer. It's not very expensive compared to a canister filter. So how a surface skimmer works is, a protein skimmer works is, it just collects water like a normal hangover bag, but you need the power head. There's a power head in there. You need that to blow all the dirt around the tank so that the skimmer can remove all these particles from the water. And basically that's how it works. So I'm running both right now because the tank is still starting. Soon as I think the tank gets stable, I may remove the canister filter in the future and just run power heads with my protein skimmer. But for now, I like it this way because believe it or not, this tank is a week old. It just came to day 7, and what I'm doing is I'm doing fish in cycle, which is something we do in the freshwater tanks. It's not cruel to the fish because you got to do it carefully. Okay, you got to do it carefully. So that's another big difference between freshwater and saltwater is Seacam Prime. I have not heard anybody talk about Seacam Prime in the saltwater scene right now. So what Seacam Prime does is it just detoxifies. Okay, it detoxifies the nitrites and the ammonias and the nitrates in the water. So for fish, it's toxic to them. So this Seacam Safe or Seacam Prime detoxifies it, but it keeps the ammonia and the nitrates in the water so that the bacteria can still use them to complete the nitrogen cycle. So that's what I'm doing. And that's what I used to do for all my tanks. Throw the fish in there, Seacam Prime, and it'll be good. However, so this time I'm a bit more careful because I kind of like my fishes. So I'm putting a bottle bacteria as well. Running this too. Microbacter, micro lift and night out and special blend. Yeah, these two are the ones that is supposed to be growing my bacteria colony. And of course, at the same time, once a week or so, I'm planning to put Microbacter 7 in there. Just following the instructions from the bottle. So far, it's running well. My fishes are happy. They're eating, happily eating. And my skimmer seems to have settled down. So moving from freshwater to saltwater, there's this thing where you've got a lot of videos on YouTube saying you don't need a skimmer. Yeah, you don't need a skimmer. However, I just decided to go through with a skimmer because it's not really expensive, quite cheap. I just got a small one over here. I'm not talking about the big ones. Huh? Yeah. That's about it. So what happens is the ppm levels for nitrates. This is where it gets interesting. We need it to be very, very low. Okay, very, very low because corals don't like it. If you're keeping fish, probably it's not that important, but for corals, it's very, very low. That's why we are running a surface skimmer. Okay, another thing for nitrate levels is the anaerobic bacteria or the aerobic bacteria, which one I can't really remember. So what happens is in a filter system, the anaerobic, or okay, there's two types of bacteria. So one of it is it requires high flow. It requires high flow. These are the flows that take the ammonia and the nitrites and turn them into nitrates. But there's the other bacteria. It's called anaerobic or aerobic, one of it. Okay, these guys require very, very low flow, and it takes very, very long to start growing. What these people do is, this bacteria does is they take these nitrates and turn them into nitrogen gas. So that is why if you watch a lot of videos, they tell you that, oh, you've got to run your tank for probably a year before you can even think about high-end corals or, very sensitive fishes. So basically, this is what I've thought about. It actually is because of this. The bacteria that is required to change nitrate into nitrogen gas takes very long to grow. And yeah, I think that's the one that causes a long setup that makes your tank take very long to set up. Okay, so that is why you need this kind of rocks. You need these live rocks people talk about, or dry rocks, but make sure there's a lot of pores inside. So how does that work is you got a power head inside there, it's flushing water around, but there's all these small holes where the bacteria can go and colonize, and the water flow over these areas are very low. So this is where those bacteria live. Those bacteria live inside the sand or inside the corals, and these are the bacteria that denitrifies or changes the nitrates to nitrogen gas. Okay, so that's a couple of things. But remember, in freshwater, we don't really think about all this. We just put plants in there and they remove everything. Put a couple of photos in here and all your nitrates go. Yeah, so that's another difference. Okay, so we'll start on day one. Day one, I just put my sand, I put my scape in there, fill it up with salt water, run my canister filter. I put a fine filter floss in there to clear the water. And day two, it looked like this. I'm not even kidding. But that's because of the canister filter. And I put in the water very slowly. Yeah, I used a small tube, run a small pump, and just went in very slowly. So that was day one. Day two, I was still waiting for my tank to settle down, get the skimmer running. And day three, I put in the fish. Literally, in day three, I put in the fish. It took about 4 or 5 hours before I started swimming around like this. And it's been the same ever since. I have not done any water change yet. I'm going to do it today because it's already on day 7. I'm just going to do a small water change, probably cut this much off, top off again with water. How I get my water is because it's a small tank. I just go and get it from the local fish store. They are running all their aquariums on the same water. It's about 1.025 salinity, so it works for me. And yeah, that's about it. I just go grab a pail, get a big plastic bag of water. I'll come and do a water change later. You got to do a water change every week. So that's another difference. So fresh water, you do water change to remove nitrates. Salt water, you do water change to replenish whatever minerals required, because there's zero nitrates there. It's no really not a real requirement to change water. That's why you'll notice a lot of people in the saltwater world, they don't really do water changes. They do probably once in 6 months or so, but it's actually not very. Apparently, I've been watching a lot of videos and it's not really advisable. So you still got to do a water change, but you can do a very much smaller water change because there's no nitrates in the water. Okay. We talked about Seachem Prime. That's a big difference between fresh water and salt water. I have not seen videos of people talking about Seachem Prime yet. I'll let you know. I'll let you guys know about the updates on the tank. But for now, my fish seem very happy. So there's a big problem I had with my tanks was because most of the videos are people who are doing this hobby in Europe or in the United States or in Canada, that region. So I'm in Asia. I thought I'll set it up. Let's go. But no one told me that, or rather, I didn't realize. Not no one told me. I didn't realize that the water temperature needs to be really cold. They call it warm. 27, 28 degrees is Celsius is warm for them. For us, is cold because our waters run about 30 degrees, 31 degrees, sometimes it's 28 degrees. So if you're doing this in Asia, you need the temperature to be at about 26 degrees. So there's no way of getting 26 degrees without a cooler. So there are a couple of coolers available to us around here. There's this Peltier coolers. I'm using a Peltier cooler right now. Unfortunately, it does not go below 27 degrees Celsius. He's trying his best. He's on the whole day, which after talking to my local fish store owner, a couple of them said that it's just not economically feasible. Okay, they told me it's a very bad idea. Your electricity bill is going to go up very, very high because the Peltier coolers are basically meant for very, very much smaller tanks. They can't do this. Even the small kind of tank like this, they can't do it. So you need an aquarium cooler. I just ordered a Halier cooler rated for about 120 liters. Costs about 1,000 ringgit. That's about maybe 400 US dollar. Yeah. That's the most expensive thing I've actually ordered for this tank right now. Pretty sad, but yeah. If you're asking about the lights, I'm not planning to put corals for the first 2 months, so it's on my old lights, my aquascaping lights, if you like it. It looks very nice. I wish I can keep it this color. I wish the corals would react to this kind of light, but it doesn't. So I ordered another blue light, but I'll only put it on when what do you call that, put on my corals. If you're wondering about the setup, and it's already been a week, it is cycling. It is cycling. I'm starting to see nitrates. Nitrites are already going down, but there's no algae. It's because I don't switch on my lights much. I only switch on 4 hours a day, just in the evening, just for me to see, or rather, right now when I'm taking this short video. And other than that, I think I can keep the algae level down, the algae level down, and cleanup crew. People always say put in cleanup crew, but I think that I'm going to put in cleanup crew only when I see the algae. If not, I had problem with my previous tanks. When I want to put in cleanup crew, I literally had to go buy algae for them, algae wafers. If not, they won't get anything to eat. So yeah, this is just the introduction for this tank, changing from fresh water to salt water. Besides the obvious stuff like, salt water, salinity, I'm guessing there's a lot of other videos, but just talking specifically on moving from fresh water to salt water, just a few things that you need to consider. And other challenges like temperature around Asia. Yeah, thanks.